I am going to share with you what is my understanding of the Indian society and what we, the intellectuals of India, the academics of India, the educational institutions of India, and I would partly put the blame on the political class of India who have not traced the economic history of India. I will share my experience in the IIT Bombay, where in 2010 they had invited me to share platform with Mr. Adi Godrej. And he was to speak first and I was to speak later. It was a very, very tough program. Research scholars, students, academics, all were there. And he spoke brilliantly for an hour, in which the quintessence of his thought was that India has been a great civilization. It knew philosophy, it knew spirituality, it knew how to coexist with differing thoughts. But the one area where it has been a thorough failure was economics. And we started putting up economic performance only after globalization came in. Otherwise, we had only what is known as the Hindu rate of growth. You know, the entire audience clapped. And he was given a roaring reception. And I had gone with a particular mindset to speak, and I had gone with certain points. I kept aside all the points because I was surprised that in such an institution of such high learning, which is going to brand India, which is going to represent India as a rising intellectual giant, IITs, IIMs, I was surprised at the kind of ignorance about India. So I decided to keep aside the notes which I had taken and began talking on what is the current Western understanding about the Indian economic performance. You know, our mind about India was made by scholars who never visited India, who never dealt with Indians, who never read any Indian literature. Take two persons, for instance, Karl Marx. In the year 1853, before he wrote the Das Kapital in 1857, Karl Marx wrote a couple of articles on 25th June 1853. In the New York Herald Tribune, he wrote two articles in which he traced what his understanding about India was. He said it is a very peculiar country. It's one country, no doubt. And it has some kind of a centralized living model. And it is infrastructure and the mobility of the people are looked after by king who somehow function together. But economically, if you look at that country, every village is an economic unit. It is a tariff unit. And it doesn't import or export anything. It produces and consumes. The producer is also the consumer is also the producer, which he later on called the Asiatic method of production. He said it's a very peculiar country. And there is no economic inequality because no one has any power over others. This was called primitive socialism in the communist terminology even today. But he said there is something very wrong with this society. They are worshipping monkeys. They are worshipping cows. And such a backward society can never progress and carry out a revolution which is necessary for advancement of the human race. It is necessary to destroy the social base, the society. And that work the British is doing, even though it is a very painful destruction, it is a pleasurable destruction also. This is what Karl Marx said. You know, the man never came to India, he never read in Indian literature, he never met any Indian and spoken about India, but he wrote about India, and you know, he became one of the most powerful thinkers influencing the Indian intellectual establishment, political establishment, sociology, and economic thinking. And our academics are still under the grip of this powerful thought that India is semi-barbaric. This is what he classified India as. And then another person, Max Weber, less known but a more powerful social thinker, he was the man who aligned economics and sociology. He wrote a book called Sociology of Economics, which defined why the Protestant societies are coming up and Catholic societies are lagging behind. And he said that Protestant societies, because they release a person from the control of the church and from the control of the hierarchy, it opens a person to individualism, entrepreneurship, enterprise, and so they are more fitted to handle capitalism. And he predicted in early 1900 that America would become an economic power only because of the Protestant ethic. He was absolutely right as for the Christendom. The relative values of capitalism with Protestant Christianity and Catholic Christianity. And he is one of the most powerful and influential thinkers of the sociological and economic establishments and academics all over the world today. And there are researches which show that these two thinkers influenced Indian establishment more than any other intellectuals. And I would have been very happy if Max Weber had stopped writing with only his understanding about Europe and America. But he wrote a book in 1925 which was not published till 1950. That was about the religion of Hinduism and Buddhism, in which he said two societies can never come up. That is China and India, because they believe in karma and rebirth, which is anti-enterprise, anti-entrepreneurial development, and so these two nations can never come up. You know, researchers after researchers have confirmed that Indian political, sociological, economic and political establishments have been powerfully influenced by these two thinkers. And afterwards, John Kenneth Galbraith came here, a great friend of Pandit Nehru, and he said, I can't understand, India is a functioning anarchy. That it is an anarchic society, but surprisingly it is functioning also. And we quoted all this. We defined ourselves through Karl Marx, through Max Weber, through Galbraith, and came Professor Raj Krishna. He was asked why India is growing so slowly. He said it is Hindu rate of growth. This was 1978. That's how we defined India. India was defined by people who had nothing to do with India,